As you can see on this, starting this second video on gutting out the 8-foot nuthatch and redoing it, I got my multi-tool, my Milwaukee multi-tool, the M12. This is one cutting little fool, and it didn't take me. I cut it out off camera. I'll give you some demos on some of these other things, but for these tools are really slick. I always thought they were kind of maybe I wouldn't need them, but yeah, for this it came in handy. There's no other way I could have ground it out without excessive damage to the hull and the pieces I want to save. I'm also, you can see this tape along here. I'm going to bevel them down. I should be able to, when I'll miss this screw. One of the things I did when I built the hull, the screws coming through from the outside in to support these wooden pegs, which I don't really use anymore. I marked the interiors of them. Anytime you got a hull or a screw going through a rail or something like that, put a little pencil mark on a piece of tape, either on the outside or the inside, under the rail or that part, to mark where that screw is, so that if you have to come back later, especially when you're doing the rest of the rails, the inside, you want to know where those screws from the inside going outside are. So, but I'm going to chop down here on both to get a little more lean to the hull. And I also cut out the front part that used to set this way. It had a lip up here that kind of protected the front of the top seat, and I just cut that off on my bandsaw. And so it's going to be flipped around and set in. I got some gaps which down in here which will go away once I lower the tops of these down. This whole panel will go down, and then we'll, like we've done before, take our pencil on a gauge or something and draw it along sideways to mark, a new line to set it down to. You don't necessarily cut to that mark, but it gives you a reference to where you want to lower it and get everything in place. So let me go ahead and do a little bit of noising here. Let me get my mask on. I'll come back after I get it set up somewhere. It's hot out today, unusual for Seattle. Well, not really, it's July, so, but this has been a hotter and drier year than I've ever seen around here.
There we go.
I need to turn my B1000 jet on and to get the dust down, and I want to put a mark on the gauge on the blade to know how deep I'm going in, so I don't go through and cut my gut. So we'll come back. Well, I've got both sides cut down. Now I need to take the seat, since it's wider now at this lower position, and you're going to take your pencil and then just drag along the edge here. And I'll take this over the bandsaw and I'll do one side at a time, and then we'll come back and do a fit on the other side to see how well it did. I got this side to fit. There's a little bit of gap in here. Well, it's not a gap. It's I could have beveled it tight, but I want some room for the Gel Magic to get in. And then remember, this will be Gel Magic spot welded along the edge, and then we'll fill it the whole thing. So now I got to check on this other side. And it's got a little bit of a, it's about an 1/8 to 3/16 high, so we'll mark it again. I don't know if I can get you in here or not. Now you can't see. Just drag the pencil along the edge here on the inside, kind of like you're drawing it here. And just drag it along. Keep it flush to the side. I also cheated. I fire up the bandsaw when I got my low angle plane. It works better. It's back in the hull, well, back in the boat. Got it trimmed down on both sides to where I had my tape markers. It has more of a lean forward. Before it was set in probably at a pitch like this, which probably would have collected water back here in the rings, and I don't like that. I like to have them pitch a little bit forward, so if you do get water up in here, it'll drain out the hole, or off into the hole, and not try to collect up in here. Make the wearer or the passenger, if you have one sitting back here, have wet pants. Okay, now that we got that down, I gained a whole lot of room up in here, so now I can take this guy and lean him over. I've already trimmed the ends once. I need to bevel it a little more back in here to get it to come in. So let me go ahead and do that. I'll just do my pencil mark along here on both sides, and that should give me enough clearance to bring it back tight. Got it in place now. Beveled back, it's leaning up, the inside edges up against the ends of those little side supports. And when I get ready to finish this off, we'll gel magic along here. I'll come back and rasp this over round, and then I'll put on a layer of glass tape. And call that good. Like I said, I got to get the hatch, and I've got to. I'll go ahead and just fill it this in place, but I've got to get the hatch first. Let me reset up. I'm going to show you some other stuff I want to do. One of the other things that I wanted to do was, I was debating the last time we said I didn't know whether I was going to go with 12 or 14. Well, this existing seat's 13, so I'm going to trim it down and reuse this existing top. There's no use in wasting plywood. But one of the things I did do was go ahead and take my cardboard. You know, when you're building a boat, it really helps to have a lot of cardboard. You know, if you got you or your neighbors just got a new washing machine or refrigerators, or even desk, where you got some big sheets of cardboard, that's what you want. And so I was able to make up some new templates on backwards, and put in the seat, so you can see that it'll be, oops, excuse me, pyramid. And this was originally the 14 width, or 14-inch width, so I'm going to take a ½ inch off each side, and it's beveled. It's beveled outward, so these side panels will have some angle to them, and then the front part here has an angle to it also. And that will, I was going to have 2 small hatches, 1 on each side, but I'm going to put 1 big hatch on this forward side, probably a 6-inch. I don't think I can get one of Chuck's 8 inches in there. A 6-inch hatch, and that way you'll be able to reach in on either side of the daggerboard trunk and store stuff in there, and then check for moisture, water, or paint, or whatever. And then on the bow seat up here, I think I'm going to chop it out too, and do to it what I just did with the stern seat. So let me give you a little bit of the multi-tool, chopping out some stuff. And I'm going to also, we'll do an angle thing here. Let me go ahead and do that. I was conflicted as to whether or not to take this whole thing out. I'm going to try it with a little wedge. I made this cardboard template here, and did it on both sides so they match up, and drew a little line in here. I may put a little bulwarks in here like I have on my Flycaster and Hudson Springs Pram, just to give this here a little more rigidity when you're rowing. So let me go ahead and fire up the toys. One of the other things I was debating as to whether or not to chop along here and fill this in and use this as a existing bulkhead, fill in the drain hole here, since I'm going to put the hatch on the other end. So I guess I'll come to that when I do it. It's got the bevel in it already. I'll have to think about that one. So I think. Okay, as you can see, I've got the. I delayed posting this because I wanted to go ahead and cut out that forward bulkhead, and I've got the center seat trimmed down to 13 inches wide, and I just brought it back inside. I took it outside to use my grinder on it to get rid of all the stuff inside. You can see where I beveled both sides. That'll be in there, and I'll probably use that as an option drawing in the plan set. So, and there's one little last thing here. This one will be trimmed down. This had a lip on it where the seat used to fit right in here. I'm going to cut that off, press around, trim it down, set it back in, and reshape it. And I got to get a new blade for my multi-tool. I pretty much wore the one that Milwaukee sent with it out. So I found a source for Made in America. They're $28 for a 3-pack, and they look pretty good, and they'll fit the Milwaukee and several other ones. So that's neither here nor there. So I've got this out and ground down, and I've got to go find out now, once I get everything in, how big hatches I'm going to need. I got to order them from Sandra and Chuck down at Duckworks. And there goes the duck again. So, probably going to, I may toy on the bow hatch here because, or the bow seat hatch, because the mast is right behind. It's going to be in the way of the, especially, I'm not going to move these guys. So the seat will probably have a hatch in the top, which is fine with me. It makes it much easier to get stuff in and out than having to reach underneath of it. So it'll probably have a hatch on top, 8-inch hatch in the back seat, and an 8-inch hatch on the back of the pyramid here. And so I guess I just yesterday took off, I don't know how many big wheel carts full of moss and needles that have been accumulating on the roof of the house for 20 years. So I got to start pulling 3-tab off of a 10-12 pitch roof. So that's going to be fun. So I'm going to be busy for a while. So this is Big Wheels. No, it's not. That's my motorcycle site. This is Red Barn Boats saying until later when we come back and we'll start working more on the interior of this hull.